Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Good, Jason. How are you?
Doing good, man. Welcome to Leading is Serving podcast.
Yes, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
It's another busy week ahead.
Isn't it?
It is.
It's always a busy week,
it
right?
seems like this year has just flown by for one, and then two just keeps getting busier.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I guess that's normal. But
Yeah, the pace of life just, Sure.
just speeds up.
Why not?
Why? I guess.
Why would we want anything different?
Then there's that.
Yeah.
So-
life moves at the speed of life, and
It
just
does.
always seems to get faster.
And I'm glad that COVID slowed things down for a split second so we could breathe.
I think it just kind of opened our eyes to that, right?
Yeah,
Just
maybe
going,
that's
oh,
what-
wow, there is a different pace of life. And
Yeah.
holding on to that has been very difficult, in my opinion.
And then that reality of, like you said, opening our eyes to that reality that life has been such a fast pace prior to that we
Right.
never really realized how fast and how much time goes by
Yeah.
quickly.
I think there's a beauty in simplicity, and
Yeah, I agree.
it's been hard to hold on to as the world has gotten more complex.
Yes, I agree. I
And
agree with that.
post whatever world we're in.
Right, whatever you want to call this new, yeah.
I heard one guy call it liminal space.
Liminal space?
Liminal. I loved that. Yeah.
Really?
I don't know why I brought it up because now we'll have to explain it. But
Yeah.
liminal is like the gray area between two realities. So we're going from a pre-COVID era to a post-COVID era.
Yeah.
And we're not there yet. And so the space in between is the liminal area where
Okay.
we see glimpses of the future, but we're still holding on to things of the past. It fully hasn't transitioned into whatever this post-COVID world will be.
Right.
We're still in that liminal space, which creates tension and stress. And
Right.
yeah, it's hard.
No,
It's hard. So
that is good.
next time you're feeling stressed, just be like, it's the liminal space we're in.
Right.
Now you got something new to blame it on.
Right.
Oh man.
That's too funny.
Well, I think today is going to be it's going to be a little bit short of our podcast today.
Okay.
Because like we said, everything's getting quick and busy, and
Right.
We've had a million things going on, and so
Yep.
we wanted to bring we wanted to show up this week and
sure.
And bring some thoughts around leadership and kind of where you're at.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we've got some interviews coming up that we're just not ready for this week yet. So
Right.
so we just talk with you shortly today, and hopefully bring some value.
Right.
And then we'll be back next week. Of
Well,
course.
and
So-
speaking about the space and everything, I think we've reviewed this tool before, but what I really appreciate is just coming back to revisit this tool because of its importance.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I have truly found a lot of strength in this tool. So why don't you go ahead and break that
this
down?
is one of the core tools that really we we should come back around often.
Yes.
And rhythms can be different for different people, but whether that's even daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, we should come back to this often to just kind of assess where we're at, how we're feeling,
Right.
where we're at. So this tool is called the Peace Index. We've covered this a couple times on the podcast, but it's talking about 5 different areas of our life that combine together to kind of give us this index of where we're at, how we're feeling about life. You can call it contentedness, fulfillment, peace. Anything in that area is kind of what we're looking at.
Right.
And so we believe there's 5 areas.
Okay.
We've talked about these areas in the past. So first one is purpose, second is place, third is provision, personal health, and then people. So they all start with P's, so it's easy to forget.
Right.
It's like, what was that third P? I forgot. So purpose, place, provision, personal health, and people. Okay. And so let's just start at the top. Purpose. Okay. So the idea is with each of these 5 areas, by the way, put a score with it. Like 100%, I feel at peace in this area, or 0%, it's tanked. Okay. Give a score to that, and then after all 5 areas, then average it, and that's what we call the Peace Index.
Okay.
So the average of all 5 of these areas.
Okay.
Okay.
That's pretty simple.
So one of these areas can prop up, high in one area, low in another, can prop up your peace because that one's really good. This one's a
Right.
little low. It helps us to get through. So, all right. So going back, purpose is the first one.
Yep.
And that's just really just kind of saying, are you living into your purpose?
Right.
Do you feel like you are accomplishing what you have been put on this earth to do?
Right.
Chris and I, we come from a place of faith, right?
Right.
And so our purpose is rooted in our faith of how we feel God has made us and what God has, created us to do.
Yep.
If you're not a person of faith, we think along the similar lines. Like what's the meaning of life? Where am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to be doing? And here on the podcast, we also believe that, putting others first.
Mm-hmm.
So leading is serving is, we're fighting for the highest good of others.
Right.
And that is part of our purpose and part of our direction. And so to look at those things and be like, all right, whether that's on a family level or a career level, am I fulfilling my purpose?
Yeah.
I feel like, God has created me to do X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
Am I getting to lean into it? Yes or no?
Right.
And to what percentage? And so, put a little score with the purpose. Are you 80% there? Are you 100% every area of your life? You're living on purpose, or is it 50-50?
Yeah.
Just be honest with yourself. Take a couple minutes.
Right.
Pause the podcast if you want. After each
Yeah.
one of these, pause and just think through, and put a number score with that. Okay.
And just be real with it. Like, it's okay
Yeah.
if it's not what you want it to be. It's okay. Just but be real with that number as much
Right.
as possible, because this is going to help you define what your next steps are.
Right. Yeah, this isn't something you're going to post on social media,
Yeah,
or
no.
you're not sending the test results back to us.
No, and I mean,
You know.
we oftentimes talk each other about
Yeah.
about the peace index for each of us, but honestly, I probably bring mine to you just because I like to talk about it, and then I like to also have your feedback. So if you have
Right.
a trusted friend that you can
Absolutely.
talk to about this is also a great tool to help in between two
Right.
accountability partners or two friends that want to help
Right.
grow each other.
But if you're not honest with yourself in any of these categories,
This is not.
this
gonna
is a
work.
worthless
Yeah.
exercise.
This
So
is
yeah.
all about you.
Be honest with yourself. Yeah. And I tend to be too hard on myself.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'm really at like 75%. And I'm like, it's 50%. All right.
Right.
So
Recognize
give yourself
it
grace,
for what it is.
but be honest.
Right. Yes.
All right. So are you living into purpose? That's area number 1.
Okay.
Okay. Area number 2 was place.
Mm-hmm.
So this this involves all the different environments that you're a part of.
Okay.
So primarily your home, the city where you live, your neighborhood, your workplace.
Mhm.
Whether you work from home or you work out of your car, you have an office, a cubicle, a basement somewhere, whatever that might be. What are the places that you live, work, and play?
Mhm.
And do those, how do they contribute to your peace?
Right.
If you have a chaotic environment in one of those, it's going to pull down your peace in that area.
Yes. For sure.
100%. If you don't, if you absolutely don't like driving through traffic,
Yeah.
and you have to drive
An hour
all
of
the
traffic.
time for your job,
Yes.
that's going to pull down your peace.
Yeah.
It just
totally is.
It's just the nature of the game. And so, you could live in a neighborhood that you're just, the neighborhood shifted, or maybe that was the only place you could afford, or,
Right.
whatever that might be. You might be in a rented situation and you really want to be in an owning situation.
Mm-hmm.
All of those types of things are going to contribute to place.
Yep.
Even for me as a creative thinker, even the color on the wall. It
I
makes
was
sense
thinking,
to me.
it's funny. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, and sometimes it's as simple as painting a wall.
Right.
Because I tell you what, a little bit of paint can go a long way.
That's right.
So
right.
if you're in a place that you just need a little bit of tweak, try painting the wall.
Yeah.
'Cause
And if you're watching the podcast on YouTube,
Right.
we have this nice wood wall back here.
Yeah, totally. Right.
During COVID, we were like, ooh, let's make this studio. What
Mhm.
color should we paint it? Let's do wood.
Yeah.
And it just changed the whole nature.
Oh, totally did.
And so, place, for me, if I had to drive a lot for my job, car troubles annoy me to death.
Right.
And so if I didn't have a car that
Was
was always
solid.
going to the shop, that would drive my peace down.
Right.
And so, so just think through there, throw a percentage on place,
Mhm.
and hold on to that. All right.
Yeah.
And again, if you need to pause the podcast, think about it. Go for
Go
it.
for it.
We'll be back in just a minute. Right.
All right.
You can turn us back on whenever you want. All right. So third area, provision.
Provision.
And this is, primarily about, the provision for your daily needs,
Mhm.
for your family, for your friends, whoever, whoever is a part of that umbrella for you.
Right.
Are you bringing in the money that you need to meet your needs? Okay. So I think that's an important distinction, to think about what you need versus what you want.
Yes.
Both of them play into the index.
Okay.
I think 100%. If your daily needs are not being met, you don't know if you're going to have enough food for the family on Tuesday night dinner.
Right.
That is huge.
That is the thing.
Yeah.
That is definitely a problem.
Yeah, but I have a very reliable car.
Yep.
I kind of want a new car.
Right. There's a difference.
Yeah, there's a difference between those
Yeah.
two things. Okay, so think through some of those things. And place comes into play a little bit, because provision is what pays for your place, and
Right.
so
Kind of like filet mignon always sounds good, but there's SpaghettiOs in the
That's
cupboard
right.
that'll feed us for tonight.
That's
And
right. Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, totally. So think through, the provision that you need for your family, need for you, just not, to do your job, to be able to play, to have, the balanced life that we need to be striving for.
Right.
Okay. So take a moment, think about provision, put a number to that, and let's move on to the fourth.
All right.
All right. Fourth one is my least favorite. Personal health.
Personal health.
You might as well just put physical. No.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's holistic.
It
So
is.
it's not just physical.
It is not.
Emotional, mental, spiritual, all of those things combined into your health.
Right.
Where's your stress levels?
Mm-hmm.
Are you taking time for yourself? Are you finding time to renew and recharge? Are you finding time to work on the big, heavy, deep projects in your life?
Right.
Are you connecting with friends? Are you connecting with family? Do you have, deepening relationships?
Mm-hmm.
All of those things come into personal health.
Yep.
And so, think about all those different areas and throw a score together.
Mm-hmm.
If you've maybe you've got a medical history that brings some deep worry,
Right.
or fear for the future.
Right.
It's not present, or maybe you do have a diagnosis that is
Mhm.
present. Or maybe it's just how many January 1s can I resolve to exercise this year?
Right.
Whatever that might be.
Right.
Think through, and where are you at on your health?
Yep.
Those things matter deeply.
They do.
So.
For sure.
All right, so take a moment, think about personal health, and then we'll move on to the fifth one, just people. Okay? This one talks more deeply about our relationships,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's our friends, our family, our coworkers, any of those types of relationships play into this.
Right.
Because you can certainly, you run across people who are a little more, I don't know, we'll just say toxic.
Yeah. Safe word.
Or
that's true.
or they need, some crave drama more, some
Right.
need more attention, some are a little more aloof
Yeah.
and independent, and so it kind of,
There's some that are super uplifting and want to help everybody's around them.
yeah. And as a leader, our desire is to pour into other people, fight for the highest good of other people, and so, some of those relationships can require more energy,
Right.
and some pour into you more than others.
Right.
And so, I would, just think across the scope of people in your life and how they contribute to your overall peace.
Mm-hmm.
Put a score for that.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these things, work and career works in all 5 of these areas.
Right.
Family, play, hobbies, all of those things work in all 5 of these areas.
Right.
And so, for example, you could have a job, you could have a career that is incredible on provision.
Mm-hmm.
It pays really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, and it's like 90% hitting the purpose that I want to hit in my life.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a little more pointed.
Right.
But man, the people that I work with, oh my goodness, can I get a break?
Right.
And so that one,
Right.
one sphere of your life could have very high in one area and very low in another area.
Yeah.
And so, this is something to think through, that as we take these 5 scores of purpose, place, provision, personal health, and people, and you average that together, and you're like, man, I'm hitting 80% at least in 4 of these areas.
Mm-hmm.
And then one area is 40%.
Yeah.
That you know, the 80% can only prop that 40% up for so
For
long.
so long, yeah.
You know,
And burnout happens.
yeah, the season,
thing.
sure, but
Yeah.
then at some point, you know,
Yeah.
it's gonna start affecting.
Right.
I know for me,
With-
go ahead.
I was gonna say, which is a great, yet another reason why this is so important, to recognize what is lacking and why it's lacking, so that you can try to be somewhat ahead of the burnout that happens and you don't know why. Because I've walked in here and talked to you, and there's been a time in the season where I was like, I don't know what's wrong, and then we went through the peace index, and it was like, well, now I know exactly what's wrong.
Right, right.
And this is what you need to change, and so that's why I think I love this so much.
Yeah,
It's just because it's so telling, and it's so eye-opening on things that help you recognize what the problem is.
yeah, yeah. It definitely gives us direction for change and
Yeah.
sharpening of, you know, where we want to go in the future.
For sure.
And for me, you know, my tendency and my personality is to hold on to things too long. I call it loyalty.
Yes.
But maybe, you know, maybe that is not tuned appropriately. And so holding on to things too long, you know, if I've got, you know, 40% in one of these bubbles, it will eventually pull down other bubbles.
Right.
Even though maybe the situation hasn't changed in that,
Mm-hmm.
but it's going to pull it down.
Right.
You know, and so eventually, you know, we need to make changes in our lives. We need to be intentional about, you know, if you've got a low score in one of these, how do we work toward improving that?
Yeah.
Sometimes it requires big drastic change, but most of the time it's incremental steps that we can take.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So take those 5 areas: purpose, place, provision, personal health, people, score in each one,
Yep.
average it out for your overall peace index. And by the way, 100% peace index,
Yeah.
you might hit that once in your life.
Right. I was like, so how much of that is truly a reality? Like, there's,
Right.
you know, I don't know about you, but I have yet to hit the perfect, you know, I mean,
Right.
I'm
I mean, life is not
striving-
perfect.
Striving for an A, but it
Right.
doesn't, like, it's a struggle to get to
Yeah.
an A for me.
And I would not think about this necessarily like the grading system that you
Right.
had in school, that 90% is A, B.
Yeah, right.
You know, if you're at 60% or low, you're flunking.
Right.
You're flunking life.
Right.
You know? No, I would think of it more in terms of like, you know, mid-70s and up
Mm-hmm.
is healthy.
It's healthy.
You're healthy. You know,
So-
if you're sitting at a 70, 75, you're probably on that verge, kind of on that liminal space
Yeah.
of healthy to maybe trending unhealthy.
Right.
Anything 80 and above, that's pretty healthy.
Mhm.
That's pretty healthy. Because life isn't perfect.
Right. Exactly.
You know, I mean, we just, you know, if,
And truly, there's-
especially when you look at like the people bubble,
Right.
you may know 50 people.
Right.
There's going to be something going on. I mean, life just happens.
Right.
You know, I mean, you know, before we hit record, you were mentioning that a friend of yours lost a parent
Yes.
over the weekend.
Recently.
That affects your peace,
It does.
even though it's indirect.
Right.
You know, and so we're just never going to sit at 100%,
Right.
100% of the time. And so, yeah, so anything under that 75%, you know, that's definitely trending to unhealth.
Mhm.
Where I would really start throwing up at least orange, if not red flags, is
Mhm.
below 60%.
Yeah.
You know, if you're getting below that 60%, you know, you probably need to take quicker action.
And I would also encourage you, if you're down that low, I think you need, truly, and you feel free to push back on this too, Jason.
Mhm.
But my guess is there's somebody in your life that also probably would love to help you
Yeah.
get out of that 50, 60%, because there's something else going on. If you can't see it,
Mhm.
then talk to somebody and show them this peace index and show them,
Right.
you know, because this is a great opportunity for somebody, and make sure it's just somebody you trust. But like, I know I trust you, so I don't mind sharing my peace index with you to say, hey, what do you see wrong with this? Like,
Right.
you know, hey, what am I doing wrong that's creating this drag on my life that I just can't feel
Mhm.
like I can come up for air? Because
Right.
it's kind of suffocating. There's
Yeah.
you know, there's a time and a place where you might not be in the healthiest spot, and it's okay.
Right.
Ask for help, because
Yeah.
and I think this is a great way to recognize those individual areas to try to help iron out
Yeah.
what that is.
Sometimes an outside perspective helps greatly.
Yeah, I completely agree.
You know,
whether it's counseling or even just a trusted friend,
Right.
you know, all those are options.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I mean, the provision's an easy one to pick on because, you have a set amount of money a month, and you're like, well,
Right.
I need more to meet my needs, and
Right.
somebody might say, so what do you spend your money on? Like,
Right.
well, I have cable, and I have Hulu, and Disney, and Amazon, and Netflix,
Right.
and
Right.
like, okay, do we need?
What-
Do you really need?
we really
Well,
need
we
that.
never watch Netflix. Well, there's $20.
Right, exactly.
Other people can look into our lives and help us point out some of those things. So, like you said, a trusted individual,
Right.
a friend who you don't mind giving the keys to the kingdom a little bit,
Right.
and saying, "You've got freedom to challenge me on this,
Right.
because I know you love me
Yeah.
and you're out for my best interest."
And recognize, like, if you're going down that road, it's not easy, right? It's not easy to have those hard conversations, but it's also part of the growth process. I think people just don't, like, it gets difficult sometimes to have these hard conversations and,
Yeah.
and even focus on this peace index. Like, truly, for those of us who want to grow, it's easy to talk about this, but for those that have been burnt through the process, like, it's not easy.
Right.
It never was.
Right.
But if you go through this, I guarantee you it gets easier.
Mhm.
And,
Yep.
and finding out those little things, those little nuances about yourself, as well as the things that you don't like to change and you don't want to change.
Mhm.
Like, I know there's things I'm sure that I haven't changed
Yeah.
because I don't want to.
Yeah.
But I also know that there's things that I have changed that have made my life greatly better.
Right. I think we undervalue clarity.
Yes.
That this is a tool that helps give us clarity about what we're feeling,
Right.
where we're at in life, and just having clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Talking through this tool with somebody,
Right.
nothing may change other than you got clarity.
Right.
And that's a couple percentage points in my book.
Right. It might not feel like your peace index went up, but I guarantee you it will.
Right.
Because clarity is, I mean, we were just talking before the podcast, is that my wife likes to ask questions of me. And originally when she would do it to me, I felt very attacked.
Mhm.
But now I know that it's part of her showing her love to me,
Mhm.
and I have to embrace it. And so
Right.
now that I can embrace it and recognize, like, she's trying to help me get to think through things more,
Mhm.
it's like,
Oh.
right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not
Yeah.
it's not an attack mode. It's a, hey, I want the best for you mode. So I'm trying to help you think through things mode.
Right.
And it's
Right.
just that for me was huge.
Yeah.
But it completely messed with my peace index.
Yeah.
Because initially it was very much felt like an attack.
Mhm.
But it has been a growth. Is
Yeah.
one of those areas I grew in. That,
Absolutely.
Sorry,
Absolutely.
got off. But
Yeah.
I just was like, it's totally one of those things that
Right.
is huge.
Yeah, because I think as you gain the clarity through this thought process, through this exercise, you begin to see, yes, that's frustrating,
Mhm.
whatever that might be, whether it's
Right.
place or people or, yes, that's frustrating, but I know there's a change coming up.
Right.
We've already planned for that change.
Right.
I know it's going to be frustrating for 4 more months,
Right.
but then it's going to change.
Right.
And just seeing that clarity of, oh, that problem will be fixed.
Mhm.
I don't have to live in that problem endlessly.
Yes.
That helps,
Right.
and so, just understanding. Well, there's another tool. Maybe we can hit this on another podcast too.
Okay.
Called controlling the uncontrollables.
Oh yeah.
Of truly thinking about, do I have control over this?
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't, why am I trying to control it?
Oh yeah. That's
How
good.
much energy and stress do we put?
That would be good. We might need to hit that one soon.
We might do that next week. How's that?
Okay, sounds good.
I'll look for that one. Yeah, because when you're talking about people or provision or, like your friend,
Right.
when death or, diagnoses come into your life, that's nothing you can control.
Right. You can.
But yet we try and control it a lot of
We
times.
totally do.
And maybe it's provision or health or whatever. Anyway, we're going down.
It's
We're
a-
chasing squirrels, and I
Right,
love it. These are
right.
good squirrels.
These are good squirrels. But
Yeah,
it is
but
definitely.
you know what I mean.
But getting back to the peace index, I mean, I think that if there's some things, focus on what you can control. We'll touch base on that
Mhm.
other tool next week. But focus on these 5 things. Take the time to sit down and write a number. Try to figure out where you're at, the best where you're at, where you're right now. And it's okay if it changes next week.
Well, that's
But-
why you should come back to it often.
Right.
Is because
But
things do change.
Use it for what it is.
Mhm.
Use it for trying to get yourself an understanding where you're currently at and where you want to go.
Yeah, establish your baseline so that you know where you're headed.
Yes, because these things that you can control, that you know are part of
Mhm.
your life, you can control, and let's focus on that for the moment.
Right.
With this peace index.
Right, absolutely.
So, well, thanks for
Yeah.
going over this with me.
You bet.
I know that today we're a little shorter podcast. We want to send out a hello to everybody and thanks for listening. We got a lot of good things coming, and so stay tuned. But
Yeah.
today we're going to have to cut it a little bit short.
Yeah,
So-
that's okay. Because life is busy.
Right.
That's the way we started, right?
And what is it? It's what's that space that we're supposed to call it?
Liminal.
The liminal space.
There you go. Yeah, so live into the liminal.
Right.
There's got to be a t-shirt design in this somewhere. But you guys are great.
Thanks for
Give us a
listening.
like or subscribe, comment, send us an email. If you know a business leader that you would love to hear their story of how they got started, we'd love to interview them.
We would.
Shoot
For
us a
sure.
line, let us know. Yeah, we love meeting new people and hearing their story. So holler at us.
Yep. Give us a
And
call. Send us an email.
may your peace index be high today.
For sure.
That's right.
Awesome.
All right. You guys take care. We'll catch you next week.
Thanks.